Summer means kids are getting out and getting active. And while they're having a ton of fun doing these things, there are still some concerns that parents need to consider. Today, Dr. Heidi Kellogg joins us from Florida Hospital, Tampa, with some helpful tips. Welcome, doctor. How you doing today?
Glad to be here. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Well, there's quite a few topics that we do want to discuss because there's so many different elements, especially in Florida, that we want to talk about keeping your kids safe. And in fact, we're going to take a look at some of the things we're going to be discussing just to kind of have a rundown for you at home. There's our list, quite an extensive list, so we better get started so we have time to talk about everything. First, kids left in cars. I mean, just heartbreaking when you hear about it on the news. What are some of the serious conditions that kids can get when they are left in a car too long?
Well, quite a few things. I mean, I think we all forget just how quickly our car can heat up. I mean, even just, especially in the hot Florida sun, summer sun, just beating down, you know, even 5 minutes, the car temperature can go 10 to 20 degrees or even hotter. I mean, it was kind of a wake-up call. My husband and I got a car and we found out you could check and see what the temperature was inside the car. And it was just surprising. We'd come back, our car would be like 105, 110 degrees inside, and you're getting into that. So you feel that, and then just think about if you have no air circulation and there's a child that's sitting in there, you know, they might be asleep, they might not know, you know, you're going to get dehydrated, you're going to feel miserable, and then as the temperature climbs and climbs and climbs, your body's natural safeguards for keeping your temperature where it should be start to go haywire. You start to lose control of that, and then you start going into heat exhaustion and heat stroke, and those are the horrible cases that we hear about. You know, sadly, a lot of children, even just playing outside, can have heat exhaustion or heat stroke, and then you talk about basically putting them almost in like this pressure cooker of the car, and it can happen even faster. So unfortunately, this is something that happens quite a bit. You know, we only hear about the horrible cases when a child is, you know, severely, you know, injured or harmed, or, you know, even worse. That's the stuff that makes the news. But this is a problem that parents are dealing with, you know, all summer. You know, how long is enough time? You know, can you run into the 7-Eleven? Can you run in and gas up your car? You know, how long is enough time? And the answer is you just never really know. You just have to be cognizant and think ahead. And sometimes that can be tough for a busy parent.
Well, I was going to say, what are some of your tips? Whether reminders that, you know, your child's in the car, because a lot of people tend to, or how long? I mean, what are your thoughts?
You know, there's no magic number on how long. You know, obviously in the summer it's going to be a lot faster if the car's parked out in somewhere that's sunny, they're not under a tree, if there's no wind that day, you know, putting the windows down can help. Really, the best thing is, you know, try to keep your child with you. Would you personally want to be sitting in a hot car? No, you wouldn't. You know, so think about, you know, when you can take your child with you, what are some steps that you can take, and sometimes it's not easy, you know, and then there's these extremes, you know, how does a mom forget? And, you know, if you've been a mom, you know, and you've got you know, your kids and they're running around and you're trying to remember everything, favorite toys, favorite clothing, you know, this and that and the other, and you've got to be here 5 minutes, you know, last week, it's really hard to keep up with it. So just, you know, being cognizant, doing that extra thinking ahead and planning.
Well, you know, of course, we're talking about the heat in Florida, but we also need to talk about drowning. Yeah. Florida leads the U.S. in drownings each year.
We do, unfortunately.
I was going to say, what about prevention? What are your thoughts? What are things parents can keep in mind to make sure they're not the family that has this tragedy happen?
You know, the important thing to remember is that all it takes is seconds. You know, obviously there's been a lot of press on the news about what happened at Disney World. There's always a lot of press in the summer about drownings. And it's just all it takes is a few seconds. And in the ER, when I see a child that's had a near drowning experience, the most common thing I hear is, I just turned around for a second. All I did was I went to the bathroom. I went inside to get a glass of water. That's all the time that it takes. You know, a motivated toddler, a motivated school-age kid, if they're like, hey, it's hot outside, I want to get in the water, they're not really thinking about what's going to happen, and that's all it takes. And for a child that's not really comfortable with swimming, that hasn't been well oriented to the water, they can get into water that's too deep, they panic, and then bad things can happen. But I think what a lot of parents forget is that a child can drown in just a half an inch to a centimeter of water. It doesn't take a whole lot. All it takes is just getting the water into the lungs, and that can cause, you know, irritation in the lungs that can be long lasting and can cause cause issues. So orienting kids to the water, you know, there's a lot of popularity with these, you know, getting infants oriented to the water, going to classes. We know they're doing the pool noodles and the swimmies and everything like that, and getting children comfortable in the water, because the biggest thing is when people panic, and that's parents and children both.
And I was going to say, we actually are running out of time, but I do want to get to real briefly just talking about the helmets and also fireworks safety. Just your thoughts as we're closing out the segment here.
Pediatrics, ask any pediatrician, our real theme in pediatrics is preventative medicine. So we try to bring in that, you know, protect your children, hold them close, you know, prevent things from happening. So with bicycles, obviously putting helmets on children, not necessarily because your child may be kind of terrible at riding their bike, but you don't know who else is going to be on the road. You know, somebody could hit them and not see them, and they could hit their head and have an injury. And then with fireworks safety, again, just be super, super careful. I think most emergency physicians would say don't ever let them near fireworks. We know it's going to happen, but just be extremely careful. Try to be age appropriate, with sparklers and things like that. Things that make large explosions, cherry bombs, things that children could hold in their hand or get into themselves. Keep them away from it. Keep them safe this summer. That's what we like to see.
Keep them safe.
Yep.
Keep them safe. Well, thank you for your thoughts. We really do appreciate it. And each month we're going to be featuring your little inspirations, and we're so excited to start this today. Here is the featured cutest little inspiration of the month with her dad from Father's Day. Looky there, big hug. If you would like to have your little one featured on Tampa Bay's Morning Blend, all you have to do is go to littleinspirations.com and upload your photos today. .org. Excuse me, I want to make sure and get that website so everyone can send their pictures in. The photo was submitted by Juliana. Now next month we're going to be featuring summer fun babies. So all those cute little bathing suit ones, pool ones, we'll make sure and send them our way. And for more information, you can call 813-971-6000 or log on to littleinspirations.org.